So without further ado, I'll introduce Adam and Andrew, and I'll let you guys take over, and I'll turn my presentation off now. Thanks.
Thank you, Nathan. I'm just going to bring up our first part of our presentation, and hopefully you can see a slide deck there. Is everyone able to see that? Is that okay, Adam?
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay, and I've also got my subtitles turned on, because when we present often at conferences and so on, we get a lot of requests from the audience, neurodiverse audience, to provide captioning as we go. So I just leave this on when I make presentations. So you can see the words going across, and sometimes they're a pretty accurate rendition of what I say, and other times they're not. So it just depends on how good the Microsoft algorithm is, I guess. So anyway, we're Untappd. We're a social enterprise. We work with a whole range of organisations on the idea of neurodiverse employment. So we're going beyond the areas of diversity around gender and around LGBTI and around physical disabilities and so on. And we're really getting to this area of some of the more invisible or less visible diversities, which is around neurodiversity. And when we talk about neurodiversity, we're talking about things like autism and ADHD and dyslexia and dyscalculia, dysgraphia, synesthesia, PTSD, anxiety, depression. There's a whole range of things. But where we focus our attention mainly is around autism and the employment of autistic individuals in the workplace. And we've had quite a lot of success with the areas of IT, so software testing, cybersecurity, and data analytics. So I'm just going to talk a bit about this ecosystem that we're looking at setting up, and then we'll jump into the Genius Armoury that was mentioned. So what we do, as I said, we work with organisations. We're really looking at finding organisations that have that focus on diversity. I already see the advantage of doing that. We work with the business. We're talking about business capability and trying to find compelling resourcing requirements to help a business manager with his capability gaps and identifying individuals who can fill those gaps. It's less about an inclusion initiative and more about a capability initiative. And really it's about not an interview process where we go out and find people. It's about having an assessment centre where we have people show us what they can do. So it's really that assessment process is more like a workshop, a talent workshop. And it is about not just getting them a job, but creating an opportunity for them to have a career. So we are working with them on their self-advocacy, identifying their strengths, building on those strengths. We're also working with the organisation to assess the accommodations and the office space, making sure we're looking at taking care of any sensory sensitivities that the individuals would have. And we're also looking at how the individuals the organisation is trained so that the managers and co-workers know how to work with the autistic individuals. So that's on the, I guess, the demand side and creating these opportunities, but we also need to identify people who can fill those opportunities. And that's where this concept of the Neurodiversity Hub is that we've developed. And the Neurodiversity Hub is a co-curricular program that's been designed to assist universities and TAFEs to develop better programs to support neurodiverse students decide to go to university, to succeed at university, and to get a work experience so they can actually get a job. And part of that, and we now have at least one university in each state in Australia that's a member of the Neurodiversity Hub, and we work with them with a range of employers to create this community of practice. And so that's a feeder for our programs, and another feeder is this new one, which is Genius Armoury, which we'll speak about later. But that's really trying to create this autistic cybersecurity pool. So having that in place, we're then encouraging employers to join and partner with universities in the hub, and we're encouraging students to participate in the programs at the universities. We're also then working in with human services organisations as another way of identifying individuals who can come into the programs. And at the end of the day, there's also the need to do research into all this so we can look at how we can improve this over time. And the program that we work with has had longitudinal research conducted by Trobe University over the last 6 years. So it's probably one of the only programs in the world, or is the only program in the world that has that research underpinnings. So that's the first part of the presentation that I was going to make. We're now going to just jump to the actual Genius Armoury website, and I'll share that, and hopefully you'll be able to see that in a second. Can everyone see that? So this is the Genius Armoury website, and this is about, as I said, it's about really trying to educate autistic individuals about the opportunity. What we found through these talent workshops that we do is that there wasn't a great understanding of cybersecurity as a career. And I might just throw to Adam to talk a bit more about his experience with that and how he then came up with the original idea for Genius Armoury and how we then went about that over the last 18 months.
Yeah, okay, thank you, Andrew, and good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for attending the webinar. Yeah, so just to rewind a little bit into my background, I've actually been involved in developing and implementing operating neurodiverse or autism employment programs since the end of 2014. And in that period of time, it's been primarily focused, as Andrew said, with technology companies that tend to recognise they have a talent gap and are keen to look and see how that talent gap can be filled from a variety of different avenues. So we started, certainly, I think, probably the first or autism employment program into IT back in Hewlett Packard back in 2014, and since then we put over 120 people who are autistic into employment in IT programs. And you know, some of the employment programs that we've done, and these are team-based programs, so we're not talking ones and twos. The teams are anywhere between 6 and 14 in size, and so they create a considerable capability opportunity for organizations that have the foresight to actually implement these types of programs. So yeah, so essentially some of the programs that we've implemented for organizations, and we work into federal government as well as commercial organizations, are based in the cybersecurity and security areas. Now, what we recognize that cybersecurity actually has a wide range of work types and work styles that can suit the range of working styles of people that are autistic. The biggest problems that we've always had, and we've always had since day one with these programs, is getting people to advocate for themselves when it comes down to actually joining or applying to join the program. So although the opportunities are out there and people are keen to do the opportunities and they can perform within the opportunities, they don't necessarily advocate for themselves. And overlying this in terms of the cyber area is the fact that they really don't have much of an idea about what cybersecurity is, and so that this was where the Genius Armoury concept came from, really. And we recognise that for people, cybersecurity is a good career pathway or career for people because it has longevity, it has scope, it has a good level of pay for people, and it has a lot of demand. So in terms of organisations that that need cybersecurity, their biggest issue is always being able to fill the roles that they've got. So it was a good option for us, and we worked with an organisation which is part of the Department of Industry called AustCyber. So AustCyber are they're basically responsible for promoting Australian cybersecurity capabilities and products to the world, but also they're responsible for building out cybersecurity capability to fulfil the shortfall of cyber skills within Australia, and that's really where we fitted into their plan, and they brought forward some project funding to enable us to build this. We built a consortium of partners who were interested in working in this area. That included DXC Technology, which were already a partner of ours in our autism employment programs, BHP, Trobe University, Curtin University, and Splunk, who you may already be aware are in the cybersecurity supply market. So we had a pretty reasonable team of in our consortium. Essentially, as Andrew mentioned, what we were trying to do is we weren't trying to recreate a platform to teach people cybersecurity. What we were really keen to do is to give people who are autistic a platform that they can use to understand the career pathway and to understand what the core elements of cybersecurity are, and to be able to work through a range of materials that would take them a relatively short time to enable them to understand whether it was something that they would like to do for themselves and to advocate for themselves. So from our perspective, one of the mantras we always have in the employment programs that we put together is about not setting people up to fail. So we don't just put people into programs because they would like to do it. We need to check that they have the motivation and the aptitude to actually be able to do the work and want to do the work. So this is also another dimension that we needed to build into the platform. So the platform itself is built up of a number of modules that are designed to introduce the career itself and the core elements of the career. It's a series of learning that is then backed up with a range of exercises related to the learning. So it's similar in a lot of senses to a lot of learning platforms. The difference is this has been specifically designed and put together to appeal to and be accessible to people who are autistic. So in a lot of senses that's very useful and very good, but it is also useful to other people who are keen on learning more about cybersecurity. So we recognize that this platform is accessible and usable to everybody, and they can get a better idea of what their career is. That we're happy for that to be the case, because ultimately we are keen to build out the opportunities for industry and education to promote and create more cybersecurity opportunities for people. In terms of what Andrew's showing you here at the moment, what we did with the website, we recognized that a lot of people who are autistic are very keen on gaming. So we were using that sort of interest to attract people to the website. So the website was designed based upon how some gaming websites tend to look. And it's put into a sort of semi-gamified sort of look and feel, really. But at the end of the day, it's a method of attracting people to the platform to go on to the next stage. So the types of information that are held on here, weapon rack, for example, is really about the modules or the course modules that are part of Genius Armoury. These are, like I said, in between each of these, you have a range of exercises that I think we'll show a little bit of a snippet of one of those. One of the kind of little videos that we do in a short while. The next one, Cyber Stories, is really about experiences of people. Andrew's put together a lot of this with people. Do you want to talk a little bit about this area, Andrew?
Yeah. So we the marketing people we were working with came up with the idea of appointing ambassadors who are cybersecurity experts in Australia and overseas, who had a passion for this and could speak from their own experience of working with autistic individuals in cybersecurity, and just reinforce how important or how much it lined up in doing that. So we've got a range of experts that are writing these little blogs just to create interest. So this is going to grow, and this is really trying to, I guess, getting people excited about the opportunity. And so, you know, I guess the progress here is that we're getting people excited with stories. We're inviting them to do the modules, and then if they want to do the next step, then what we're then trying to do is highlight options for further study, and we're really picking up the universities and TAFEs that are part of the Neurodiversity Hub, and showing the links to the courses that are available, and also, you know, highlighting the support that is available to autistic or neurodiverse students at those universities, because we're working with the universities that have these programs in place. So trying to, I guess, provide the safe pathway for people to undertake further study in that way. And then ultimately we will be looking to put in place jobs and post jobs that might be available, or programs that may be of interest for people to apply to. So we're actually working with one of the consortium partners at the moment to put together a number of traineeships that are a combination of part-time work, so 2 or 3 days a week in the cybersecurity department, and part-time Cert 4 course in cybersecurity at one of the TAFEs. So that's just an example of one of the programs we're doing. So so in a nutshell, that's, you know, I guess the sum total of this is to create the interest, provide these materials to go through and complete quizzes, and then have information available to then think about the next step.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, the important point of this is that pathway. So, you know, for people who are educators or parents, or anybody who has an interest in getting someone started on understanding what a cybersecurity career is, this is the start point. They can understand what it is, whether it interests them, whether the types of work through the exercises are something that they're you know, motivated towards, and then assuming that they go through their and are motivated towards that, then there's information regarding further education and employment opportunities. So we're still building out some of those further education employment opportunities at the moment. As Andrew said, the platform was, I think he said, the platform was launched at the AustCyber conference in the Gold Coast a week ago today. So we were there meeting people. We got a lot of interest from organisations about this. And very much those organisations are quite focused on what the upcoming talent is that's available to them. They're all struggling to find cybersecurity talent. So for educators, that's a useful opportunity to be able to start people on that pathway if they don't know a great deal of what it's about.
And so, if you then look at the fact that something like 32% of autists are unemployed, and yet a lot of them have traits that are quite useful to cybersecurity roles, such as attention to detail, ability to see patterns, memory, a loyalty, ability to focus for long periods. You know, these are all good things that can help have some great people in cybersecurity. So although we launched it last week, we turned it on a few weeks ago, and so far we've had nearly 1,000 people enroll in the modules. Interestingly, 23% of those identify as autistic. So at the end of the day, we can't limit this platform to anyone. It's an open access platform. But what we always find is if you design something for people who are autistic, you're actually getting into the area of universal design, and you're making really more accessible for everybody. So we're getting this large group of people coming. 23% are autistic. 35% of the people registering are female, which is great in this area to get that level of interest. And about 9% of those registering are still at high school. So that was another interesting thing as well. So we're getting some good take up from people who haven't actually gone, left school yet. They're still there, and they're still thinking about what's the next step for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And the challenge is really to get employers to start thinking about how they grow the staff that they need, because the cybersecurity talent pool is a small one. It's an expensive one, there's not enough talent being developed in the market. Everybody at the moment wants talent with experience, but the challenge is here to actually start people when they're coming out of high school, moving into that education pathway through TAFE, perhaps into a traineeship, like Andrew was talking about before. And the forward-thinking companies are thinking about that now. I mean, from the perspective of people employing those that are autistic, when you get the balance correct, as you would do through an employment program like the type that we put together, which has that holistic support for autistic individuals and employers, what you will get is high-performing teams of individuals that are highly motivated, highly skilled, innovative, and loyal. So typically in the cybersecurity world at the moment, people move around all of the time. Most of the workforce is contract-based, and they move on very quickly. So it's important for organizations to protect the money that they put into hiring people, the IP that they're building, the innovation that they're building by having a loyal workforce. At the moment, with demand in that marketplace, that won't be the case. So this is where we're trying to work with employers to bring people in at that ground level around traineeships. So school leavers, and I think we've got a reasonable number of school leavers completed or started the Genius Armoury courses already, which is encouraging. TAFE is keen to obviously take them on the next part of their journey as well, in terms of that next fundamental learning in cybersecurity. And these forward-thinking employers can see that as a potential solution towards their next generation cybersecurity shortfall. So I think it's a win-win for people looking for a career that are motivated towards it, and employers. I think for educators as well, looking for pathways for people who are interested in technology. I think it's a useful step-off point as well.
Yeah. So just to round out before we open to questions, I might just play a little snippet of the course material itself, and I hope this works.
Let's imagine that we receive a stored dataset after some indicators of compromise are flagged. We would then use retro-examination to uncover artifacts, and then use these to help determine what mischief has occurred, which machines were involved, and who the user or threat actor was. Example of the techniques involved include file signature analysis, where a file's content is compared with its signature to show if it has had its file type changed in order to try and hide it, such as saving an Excel list with a .mp3 extension. Shellbag analysis of folders to show user activity. Email forensics to see sent and received emails, where they were sent from and when, and even recover deleted emails. Timeline analysis to easily view files for patterns by listing an entire disk content chronologically and highlighting them by characteristics such as file type and if they have been deleted. It's not just the content of files which may be of importance, but also the metadata associated with those files. Retroexamination may reveal when a PDF first appeared on a computer, when an Excel sheet was last edited, when a Word document was last saved or printed, or which user carried out these actions. Refer to your Module 4 Task 1 exercise worksheet for an exercise relating to disk cloning retroexamination through a digital forensic timeline software which analyzes and orders all files on a disk chronologically. What evidence can you find?
So I'll just stop it there. So that just gives you a bit of a sense of some of the materials. So there's this informational sharing, and then multiple choice questions and actual exercises where in the exercise that was being introduced there, they download an actual file and have to investigate it and find out what had gone on. So there's that opportunity to actually have some hands-on, and we're getting some great feedback from participants through the platform about the fact that it's got hands-on things that they can try out. And the overall rating we're getting on the platform on the course is something like 4.82 out of 5. So it's really encouraging. And when we did the user acceptance testing, originally we were able to get 20 autists together around Australia, and about a third of them were female, which was great. And we had age range from 18 to 50, so they were able to all try it out and give the feedback, which Adam then had to wade through because some of it was quite lengthy, and then incorporate that into the materials and finalise it to then release it. So hopefully that gives you a bit of an overview of what we're about, what we're trying to do, what Genius Armoury is about, and we'll be very keen to take any questions.
I'll just encourage people to, there is a raise hand thing, and because of the numbers we have here, please feel free to use the raise hand, and then you can unmute yourself if you do have a question for Andrew or Adam. I was fascinated when you were saying, and it makes perfect sense, that when you design a service with that universal design in mind, that it works for a lot more people than just one target group. I just think that's a terrific insight, and yeah, I really hope that it's something that is useful beyond just the target group. I see Carlos has his hand, so yeah, Carlos, if you'd like to ask a question. Oh, he's going to type it. Okay.
I think Chu has as well.
Yep. Tway, do you want to ask while Carlos is typing?
Sure. I just want to ask you if there are any kind of mentorship going on, like if someone has questions that needs to be answered in a sort of personal way instead of just accessing the resources, can they get some help from someone like a human being on the other side?
There is the opportunity for them to email into our mailbox if needs be. We don't have a capacity to do tens of thousands of these things, obviously, all personalised. We haven't actually had anybody yet have to do that. Because it's a self-paced type of learning. You know, people can take it as they want to and go back and redo things. But yeah, the opportunity's there. It's just people. Nobody so far in the last month and a bit has taken that option.
Okay, because I'm just thinking that we could have some kind of forum that over time build into a body of knowledge that they can actually contribute, like helping each other out. Like someone who knows can jump in and answer the question. So yeah, it doesn't have to be a teacher.
Yeah, I think the idea is to give people this kind of foundational knowledge, and you know, if it's something that they're getting stuck on, they probably should be able to go off and do internet searches to understand some more of the concepts. And certainly we kind of designed it in that way that people could go off and learn more if they wanted to. in terms of, you know, that progression through the learning, it starts out simple and it gets a little bit more complex as it goes through. So towards the back end of it, it's using things like computer language conversion through number bases and Python programming and things like that. But it's all really at a fundamental level, but it just gives people an understanding of some of the areas that that they need to learn. And those things aren't hard to actually look up on the internet if people need more information about it.
Yep, thank you.
I'm just seeing Carlos's type question now. He says, sorry, I'm at work, can't speak at the minute. However, I'd like to know if being ADD plus autism would be an impediment for cybersecurity studies or work.
I don't believe so. You know, within the people that we've got that perform our, you know, have gone through our program doing a range of different things. Everybody who joins has to have an autism diagnosis, but many also have ADD, ADHD, and other diagnoses as well. And we haven't actually had any particular issues.
I might just read out a quote from one of the people that's completed the course. So just the feedback had said, I liked having the opportunity to try things out for myself in this course. I really feel like I've learned a lot compared to when I started. It took me a lot longer than I expected, but it was worth it for the depth of knowledge I have now. There was a lot of content, but it was presented in a manageable way that I could understand. Thanks for putting together a great course. And that was from a female autistic who's studying arts at a university. So that was a great feedback to get.
All right. Tway, did you have another question?
Yes, I do. I just want to follow up on something Adam said about registering needs, the person registering needs to be on the spectrum or diagnosed. So does that mean, like, sorry, yeah?
Yeah, sorry, just to split it apart. So these are people that are registering to join an assessment. So this is actually for
okay.
So,
different. Okay.
So not to take part in Genius Armoury. Anybody can do that.
Yes, because I'm just thinking that I could ask a student to maybe just register and explore this, and that should be okay, right? I mean, that my student don't need to be diagnosed or anything.
No, not to do Genius Armoury, no.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
All right. Well, I might wrap up the formal part of this webinar today. So thank you to those people who have come today, this afternoon, and listened in, and it's been great to hear about this project. I feel, yeah, it's just getting started, and it seems like there's great things happening already, so that's terrific. And thanks to those who attended, and thanks especially to Adam and Andrew. And this ends the formal part of today. So if you do want to stick around and ask any further questions for Adam and Andrew, please do. And otherwise, we'll say good afternoon and see you next time. Thank you.